Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants, Hollywood Talk.
The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills has kicked off, and we have lots to rant about. The Chicago judicial system is busy with Jussie Smollet and R. Kelly. New York Housewives hasn't returned yet, and LuAnn is already pissing people off. That and more with Jodie Hough. Let the ranting begin. Welcome back to the Rants. I am joined by Jodie Hough, a podcaster and host of the RealiTV podcast. If you know of this show, you know her. Welcome to the Rants, Jodie. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm a huge, longtime fan of yours.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to do with that. Thank you. I feel like all I do is just rant like a crazy person. So, the fact that someone enjoys that as much as you do, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I think I'm like everyone. You are just the voice. You have the perfect voice for podcasting, radio. It just, it draws us all in.
Thank you. Well, I like to think it's all the truth according to me, as I always say. So that's it. I appreciate it. And I'm really glad to have you on. I mean, we definitely speak the same language when it comes to reality TV. I mean, you're just as deep into it as I am and many people listening to this show right now.
Yeah. I mean, reality TV, it's really the way to go for me. I'm not a huge scripted drama kind of person, only because there's so much drama going on reality TV, even on the shows and off. Some of these shows going on, especially now. I mean, man.
There's a lot. And I need an escape from it all. And I was hoping, I can't say I was optimistic, but I was hoping that the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills would bring me an escape that I could kind of just relax and enjoy. Now, a couple things I want to say about this. The season has started. I did not like the first episode. I'm sounding off quite a bit these days on Instagram. I'm really not holding back, so if anyone's interested, I'm giving you my up-to-the-minute thoughts over there. But the second episode did interest me a little more. I have a very tough relationship with this show. How are you feeling about this season of Beverly Hills Housewives?
I always like all of the housewives. It's really kind of like choosing my favorite children. But Beverly Hills, I feel, is the women are really starting to believe their hype on a deep, visceral level. And it's kind of losing it for me. For example, I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but Erica. I loved her, and now I just feel like too much is too much.
Well, I noticed they toned her look down in the interviews, and she's now Erica Girardi more than she is Erica Jane in some of them. Interesting. I think they got the note. I enjoy her to a degree too, but I think they're all trying to be so next level, and I do agree with you. I mean, Lisa Rinna, she thinks she runs the world right now. I mean, I don't like Lisa in the press. I don't really care for her. I'm going to talk about her in a minute. I think she's really obnoxious and annoying, but I have to give her some credit. Let me give you some credit. She does keep it real and is pretty honest in how she feels about things. She doesn't feel as though, like Erica, like Kyle, who's so media trained, she doesn't feel as though she has to give the canned answer. I do appreciate that as someone who enjoys real talk, but you're right. These women are totally buying into their own hype. But if you compare them to some other women in other cities, it's like they definitely put themselves above everybody else as far as their position in the Housewives universe goes. That's my belief. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. Just look at the kinds of trips that they take. You're looking at sometimes the Housewives of Atlanta, Potomac, they're just going upstream.
Yeah. I think Dallas went fishing. Didn't Dallas go fishing for a trip?
Yeah, they had to wear, waders and, if you have to wear galoshes, I don't know if you could really call it a true housewives vacation, but, they're going to Dubai and Hong Kong, to me, I mean, I'm in the middle of the country, so anywhere beyond, anywhere there's mountains or even hills, I'm thrilled by. But they definitely have a different sort of baseline than the other cities.
Speaking of, in the same spirit of that, Dorit, apparently her sister discovered some, it's brand new, a brand new island resort. I mean, where was this when Magellan was around? I mean, now all of a sudden it's this new thing. It's not the Bahamas, it's the Bahamian something. What is it?
Yeah, she did say something like that, like Bahama. There's an extra syllable or something.
An extra IAN or something. And so now she's all for this thing they had to go and see. And I put over on Twitter and Instagram this video of me commenting because she says, and I'm quoting Dorit Kemsley, first class all the way. And so they get to LAX, and then they're in front of the American Gate, a place I'm familiar with. And then they cut right to them walking across the tarmac on this private jet branded, but with the name of the resort. Now, you can't walk on the tarmac at LAX, especially not on the international terminal. So I looked at the map as Kyle walks on the plane, and the first thing I saw was Orlando in big words. And then I looked again at the map, and it was like, a territory where they were like more zoomed in. Then the second view of it was zoomed out, and you could see the plane. They were in Miami. So I'm not buying that it's first class all the way to reach.
Yeah, maybe 1/8 of the way.
Yeah,
something
exactly.
like that, a fraction of the way.
Yeah.
Well, can we talk a little bit about Dorit? I just want to get your ideas because to me, you are in the heart of all of this. You're in the epicenter of all the good stuff that goes on. What is going on with Dorit? What's the whole thing with the dog? Are you at liberty to discuss this?
Well, I don't know anything. I'm not privy to any specific information, so I can say whatever I want.
This is like my fantasy.
I can say whatever I want, because I don't know her. But no, I mean, to me, like, I was just saying this last night, like, I can always spot a fake, and, this one, she's honestly very typical to who is out here. I mean, I really don't know what she does. She's funded to do this bathing suit line. I can't imagine it's extremely profitable because she doesn't really own it outright if she has all these partners and side businesses with manufacturers and things. So, I can't imagine that she's, living the Beverly Hills lifestyle with a couple swimwear lines called Beverly Beach. She's typical of a lot of people. I mean, and even people I can think of that I grew up with. I didn't grow up in LA, but in general, I mean, the husband now owes millions to a casino. She claims that she was robbed, and then in the next scene after that, she's walking around in Givenchy and all these different designer names. I mean, if you were robbed, wouldn't you, maybe like take a step in just to getting the basics, you know what I mean? As opposed to going right to Rodeo Drive.
Right. So are you with the belief that she was not robbed, that was repossessed? That's what
is that the theory that it was all repossessed?
That's what I've been hearing because PK owns money and, they have to seize your assets, and those were the assets.
I thought that the theory was that it was kind of an inside job, so they were able to hide their assets by them being stolen. It's
interesting.
Yeah,
either one I love.
Either one is interesting. And, I mean, just for dramatic purposes only, I hope one of them is true, just because it's interesting.
Oh, I know. I'm interested to see where the dog theory, what that whole thing is. That's throwing me for a loop.
What do you make of Denise Richards being on the show? Rinna says that she's going to be a legend.
You know what? I like her, but I'm a little partial because she grew up or she lived in the city about 1 or 2 towns over from me in Downers Grove, Illinois. So I have this little... Nothing happens around me. So I have this little like, ooh, Denise Richards lived here. So I like her. I don't really see her stirring up drama just yet. So that's interesting that Rinna said that. I wonder who she's going to be going for. I mean,
all the drama the news that's come out of the set has all been around Lisa Vanderpump and all the interview questions and what's been on Radar, whether you love or hate Radar. I mean, they're usually, touch upon what the overall theme of the drama is going to be. And I haven't heard not a word about Denise's involvement in anything. And when people have asked the cast about Denise, everyone's had nothing but wonderful things to say about her, which, I'm glad for her. I'm glad she had a good season, but I don't know what that means for drama. I mean, I don't expect anything with that type of response.
Right. What's your opinion about Lisa Vanderpump?
Nothing good. I don't enjoy her at all. Like,
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I feel like she's almost like a Jill Zarin, where you either love her or you hate her. There's nowhere in between.
Yeah. No, I can see right through her.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of her at all. I feel like the franchise, it's time for her to go. It's time for her to just say goodbye to this last season and either start fresh or add someone else.
100%. And I feel like they're going to get rid of Teddy. She's only known for being boring. So why is she front and center, especially in that first episode? She was all over that first episode, so I was pissed about that. Lisa Rinna was on Jenny McCarthy, and she feels very disappointed in Lisa Vanderpump and calling her a bad example for women in the workplace, and she feels that Bravo gives her special treatment. Well, anyone that watches Housewives know that there are the group of the favorites. You know what I mean? And she's in there. She's definitely in there. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, there's always an OG of the season. You know, there's Vicky Gunvalson, there's Lisa Vanderpump,
Teresa.
Exactly, Teresa. Ramona's in that. Well,
Nene.
Exactly. Just exactly what you said. There's always that favorite.
Yeah, and I don't care for that because this is an ensemble show, and I've said this forever, and that kind of drives me crazy because, you know, what's the point if someone's going to have I don't want to say these women are getting better edits, but if someone's getting a better slot on What Happens Live or whatever, I mean, how is it a level playing field? And that's kind of what Rinna was talking about in this interview. And again, I do appreciate her being so real and so candid about it. Even though I don't really enjoy her in the press, I think she's always looking for a soundbite. But she was, very, I believe, accurate in her statement regarding Vanderpump. And I think Jenny McCarthy's has a good show. I like when they go on there because they're usually pretty, like their guard is pretty down. You know what I mean? So it's a good one for the Housewives.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Oh, I'm glad that we fall on the same side on that one.
Yeah. So Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, I looked up the ratings. It aired, the second episode was the second highest rated cable show of the night following WWE SmackDown, interestingly enough. So the show is doing well, so I don't anticipate any major changes. And we'll see what happens. The season is young.
Wow. Yeah, no matter what, I'm going to be watching. Even if Vanderpump is on, 45 minutes of the 47 minutes it's on, I'll still be watching it no matter what.
So Jodie's calling in from Chicago. There's a lot of news coming out of Chicago. Now, you're outside of the city, correct?
Yeah, just western burbs.
Okay.
Just about maybe 35-minute drive down to the city.
Well, all eyes are on your neck of the woods this week. And,
Sure is.
For the listeners, I'm not going to be recapping what's been in the news as far as like point by point. We all know what happened with Jussie Smollet and the R. Kelly story, but I want to react to kind of what's happening currently. Really, both stories have just kind of been the biggest stories in Hollywood, especially this Jussie story. The Chicago PD has determined that he filed a false police report and that he staged a hate crime. Now he's saying that he has an untreated drug problem. So when is he going to walk into rehab in 5, 4, 3, 2,
That's right. Exactly. Just like many of our housewives and our reality TV stars, talent, from the minute that came out, I'm sure not just the Chicago locals kind of had a feeling. It just didn't seem right. It just didn't ring true. But I did read something on Blind Gossip just the other day before this whole rehab or addiction thing came out, and it had their blind item of a certain disgraced public figure's family that is preparing to say whatever they need to say to lie for him. And I mean, it's obviously Jussie's family that they'll say or do anything, but it's very interesting because I don't know how well that's going to play for him because he was cited in court and said that he did not have any untreated drug addiction. Yeah. That was one of the first questions asked of him. So I don't know. I mean, once you say that, I don't know how easy it is.
Hopefully the judge is smart and just says, nope, you went on record and said nope to this, so this is now a lie. It's obvious catching a lie, but yeah, I mean, I guess when your back is up against the wall, you'll try anything. And they're saying that he's trying to do this if there is prison time, this would lessen the sentence. Who knows? I mean, I don't know what the law is, and I don't know if this justifies prison time, but I mean, the man, his career is done. No one's going to want to be bothered with him, especially in the entertainment business. I mean, gay men really do run this business, and he's not viewed favorably at all right now. So I can't imagine anyone really giving him a shot, other than perhaps if he produces his own one-man show or an off-Broadway thing that he does himself. I just can't imagine him really putting himself, in being welcomed anywhere else. So he's done. Let's just fade him into the background now. I don't need to see the man rot in prison. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, with this whole story, I had to take a breath. I was watching the Hot Talk panel on Wendy and the horrible people on The View and all these people, I hate them, talking about this story and just jumping to conclusions. And I just want to take a breath and see exactly what evidence was presented and everything. I'm not a fan of his either way, so I really don't care. It's not like, I'm disappointed or whatever. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's his problem. And I just want to see how it played out before getting on some bandwagon. But it really did all, come out this week, and it's interesting to see, that he set a lot of people back in how people now can be believed, and it's a terrible thing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't see this going any other way than him being completely guilty, because the Chicago PD, they already have so many eyes on them because crime rates and criticism with, not to get too political, but there's been so many cases that I think they made sure that they dotted all their I's and crossed their T's before they came and said, we know for a fact that he lied. Mm-hmm. So I think it's signed, sealed, delivered. He's done.
I mean, it looks good for the police department. They definitely did their work. But, think of all the other crimes they could have been working on that were legitimate. So it's unfortunate. But I just wanted to chat about that briefly. Elsewhere in Chicago, R. Kelly turned himself in after being charged with 10 counts of aggravated criminal sex abuse. And now his lawyer says all the women are lying. Well, how convenient. They're all lying. What kind of lawyer is that? And I don't even know how a man like that, I mean, everyone has to get representation, I understand, but who would want to take that on?
Yeah. And even, the next person that, let's say, hires this lawyer, I would think as a juror, a very biased juror that I would think, okay, well, they're automatically guilty because this is the guy that represented R. Kelly. There's no doubt about it that the guy, I mean, I think there's at least 2 14-year-old girls. There's 10 counts with 4 alleged victims between, I believe, 13 and 17. I think there are 2 women that are possibly being held. I know that he just turned himself in today, I believe, that are still being held in his home.
It's a shame that it took this long for anything to even happen. And it's a shame across the board, but it's interesting because he's now in there with $1 million bond. And the same judge that sentenced him or slapped this charge and bond on him was the same judge that also went after Jussie Smollet earlier in the week. So,
is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the same judge. Wow.
Yeah. According to page 6. But that's what I'm reading anyway.
This could be the new Judge Ito of 2019, right?
Yeah. He's had a very busy week. So that's the latest there. I mean, there's just a lot going on. And, I'm always trying to look at the big highlights here in Hollywood of what's going on. And that's really been the big stuff. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of New York. Season 11 is right around the corner. And this winter has been a long one. And I'm ready to laugh. And I think the sitcom that is Real Housewives of New York is going to really help things. And we're going to get into that and a few other things with Jodie in a moment. Now this.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
I want to quickly mention that Grant's Rants is going to be kind of shortened a little bit here, between 30 and 35 minutes. I normally don't talk about like production things like this, but the show has been around now. It'll be 4 years coming up, and I think podcasts have evolved, and there are just so many out there. When I started this show, I mean, the standard, it was 50 minutes minimum, 50. Now, I do this for a living, and I'm always trying to promote short form content and short form work. And so I want to practice that here on this show, and I want to continue to deliver the same amount of content, just in a shorter, more digestible amount of time. And the show's evolving, and I hope that more people will discover it, and it'll be perhaps an easier listen for folks as they go about their day. So I appreciate you for sticking with me, and more rants. And we're back with Jodie Hough here, calling in from Chicago. Now, tell me over there, I can't really complain where I live, but it's been a lot of rain and cold here. What's it like in Chicago right now?
Oh, it's always a little bit of everything. Yesterday was 40s and beautiful. Today we're in the maybe 20s, 30s, snow, sleet, everything in between.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just cold and miserable.
It just is. Yeah, that's just the norm, I guess. Now, Real Housewives of New York, season 11 is starting. And I'm looking at really what's kind of in the press around it, right? As of today, a lot of people are talking about LuAnn's behavior recording the show, and she's apparently full-on diva and full-on, full of herself. And her nemesis is Bethenny, and Bethenny can't handle any part of her. And allegedly, this is according to Radar Online, that LuAnn threatened to have Bethenny thrown off the show.
Oh, no. I don't think Bethenny's going anywhere, much like Lisa Vanderpump. And while I know Vicky may be a friend of, I don't think Bethenny's going anywhere. I think she's in that sweet spot with Andy, I believe.
Yeah, and people forget these women, they make a couple $100,000 salaries doing this. What is the motivation to leave? Because somebody's angry at them and someone has an ego? I mean, this is a paycheck for them. And it's like people are begging and borrowing and stealing to get on these shows. So why would you get off of it?
It's ridiculous. Again, they buy into the hype of themselves and believe that once they leave, they're going to keep earning these endorsements and these deals, and it's not going to happen. What am I trying to say? Like the community or the following of reality TV, we have a very short attention span and a very short memory. And once you're off the TV, we're on to the next person. So, for example, if the Countess leaves, it's just going to be like, okay, well, she left, much like the season where she was a friend of. And really, that was her best season, I think.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the point now where there are too many people, just too many celebrities to keep track of. I was just saying this yesterday. I mean, it's to the point of ridiculous. I can't keep track of who's doing what and all this. I was telling my sister, that girl from Dr. Phil, Catch Me Outside girl, she now has a huge billboard for a Snapchat series over here on Sunset. Massive. But who is that? But who is that in the world of fame and celebrity? Really, though, who is that? She's from Dr. Phil. So, I mean, there's just too many people to like you said, if someone leaves one of these shows, I mean, you can follow them on Instagram, but once they're kind of off the map, they're off the grid.
Absolutely.
So, unless they come back and do these little things like the marriage boot camp, and then they're always talking something. But there's just too many people to maintain and keep track of. I mean, I'm losing. I mean, I do this show Hollywood Talk. I can barely keep up.
Right. The thing with LuAnn, though, is that she's getting in a really interesting place because she's getting into actual issues where, she did not complete her community service hours. She was not attending AA meetings that she said she was going to. I looked up and it said that she didn't complete this Mothers Against Drunk Driving class. And that's the kind of thing that audiences do remember, that they did something illegal or immoral or unethical. And that's where you really lose. No matter how likable you may be on the screen, there's still that common sense part of all of us that's like, I don't like you anymore. And she's right there, I think.
This cabaret star that she's become, the fact that she can't find the time to go to a Mothers Against Drunk Driving class, but she can, she's on BravoTV.com learning the drums. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, prioritize.
That's hilarious.
Did you watch that video of her playing the drums?
Yeah, and by play the drums, you mean she hit, I watched it 3 times. She hit 3 places on the drum, like three blind mice, and that was it. And she just found herself so funny and so charming. Oh, it just gives you that smarmy vibe.
Proof that you can really pay for anything. I know she's getting paid to do these shows, but she's also has a name behind her. Some of these people, though, that you can pay for a team around you. It happens all the time, and then they prop you up and make you into a star. I mean, you've got people in music school today, who are studying this. People who have been percussionists for over their whole life, and she's over there getting paid to do shows, barely even aware of how to hold a drum.
Do you think she believes that she really is talented? Or, like, is she in on the joke? Because I feel like people are really kind of laughing at her, but she thinks they're laughing with her. Do you know what I mean?
I think she's completely blinded by the light. Like, she's going on tour.
Really?
I mean, I just think that she's filling out rooms. It's so flattering for her. She said she claims she always wanted to be a singer. So in her mind, she's reached her goal. So, I mean, I really do believe maybe she's a little bit in on it. Like, I'm very self-aware. Like, I'll post things and I'll give you a little wink. You know what I mean? But like,
right.
I really do believe that for the most part, she's made it.
Okay. For example, Tinsley, I think she's in on the joke. She knows we're all kind of laughing at her, and she has moments where she doesn't completely understand it, but she is in on the joke for the most part. And that's what I think gives her that little bit of likability, that little bit of relatability. Okay, we can all laugh at ourselves, even though she's just on a whole different planet than I think the rest of us are.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of Tinsley, did you look at these taglines? What do you make of the season 11 taglines? I usually don't talk about them, but I was kind of a little disappointed.
Oh, I was very disappointed. I think these are some of the worst taglines of any city, any season. They're terrible.
Yeah, I mean, Tinsley's is about she's game on, but I need to find my match. I get some type of like tennis reference. I've never seen the girl play tennis on the show, so I don't know why. What assimilates the two of them? But okay,
it's game set. Now I need a match. I feel like she was thinking, okay, match, I need to find someone. And she just went with whatever.
Yeah.
She just went on a thesaurus or, what idiom can I use that has the word match in it and went with it. Otherwise, it makes no sense at all.
I mean, the only other thing that would be relevant to her is hotel living. And that was the last season tagline was about room service. So, I mean, I guess that's, all right.
I still don't understand the hotel living thing. Maybe it's just an East Coast thing.
When I think, because I love to go to New York and I look at hotel rooms. Now, I'm not staying where she's staying, not even close, but to look at the taxes that come with renting or booking a hotel room in New York, I can only imagine the millions at this point, just in the last 2.5 years that she's been on our TV screens that she's spent just in New York taxes, just day to day, of just being able to stay in a hotel. It makes me sick. It really does.
Really? That's interesting. I didn't even think about it that way.
Yeah, I'm
true.
Too logistical. I hate all that stuff because I'm always trying to find a good rate. And then, you go online, you find a good rate, and then afterwards, all the taxes added, and it's like, oh, great. Well, it could have been $400 a night is now $900. You know what I mean? Like, that's nuts. Right. Not a night, but in total. I mean, it's a pain in the ass. But anyway, Dorinda's tagline, she said, if you got a problem with me, it's your problem. Now, that doesn't say anything about her.
Yeah. I think she should have changed that. I think she should have said, if you've got a problem with me, or even if you've got a problem, come sit next to me or something, to kind of give that Dorinda-ish vibe of, hey, I want to be your friend. But if you've got a problem with me, it's your problem. It's just boom, so combative.
Yeah, she's trying too hard to be a thug.
Yeah, I don't like it. I like the Dorinda that's the, come and stay at Bluestone Manor Dorinda.
Yeah. The only one that people seem to really like is Lou's. I plead guilty to being fabulous. I mean, it's just perfect for her. It's just what's the word I'm thinking of? Shallow enough. You know?
Yeah, and it's just very on the nose. You know, you don't have to think too deep on that one.
You get it exactly. Yep, I feel the same way.
Bethenny's, oh my gosh. I can't take it anymore. Hers is, when life gives me limes, I make, wait for it, margaritas. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she sold that business. So, I mean,
I just can't do it anymore.
Yeah, the Skinny Girl commercial is coming out along with the show on March 9th. And Barbara is, according to Ramona, not a Real Housewife. Ramona has had nothing good to say about this woman, Barbara. I don't know really like how she organically fits into the group yet. I'm kind of waiting to be surprised. I don't want to spoil the whole show for myself. But apparently she was supposed to replace Carol, and she didn't. But she's still on the show. Are you interested in this, Barbara?
I never take to a first season housewife. It always takes me a good 2 to 3 seasons. I always like to just stay on the fence. I don't want to get my heart broken, and I also don't want to make a fool of myself if I end up loving them and then they end up being a terrible person. But I think the scene that we see someone making out with someone else, there's 2 women kissing, that's her, correct? Barbara.
Probably. I don't remember. I mean, I remember seeing it. I didn't identify who that was.
I think it's her. So if I'm just judging on that, to me, that reads a housewife that's just trying to come in, too hot, too fast, just too much, trying too hard. So if I'm judging on that, I'm probably not going to like her. It's just going to be too much.
Yeah, I get that.
But she and Jill Zarin, I guess, are like fire and ice. They do not get along. So that could be a reason for me to end up liking her, because I'm not a huge fan of Jill Zarin.
Well, she's polarizing, all right. My final thought of this Real Housewives of New York upcoming season is that, I think it's a really good sign that this show is strong enough to lose one of the housewives and not really replace them. Getting rid of Carol and not having to put someone new right there. It's a healthy enough show where, you can cut down and it's still enough. And, for that, I'm very encouraged and happy to see where so many of these other cities, I mean, they just like OC, I mean, just like they're still hemorrhaging people and can't replace them. I mean, it's just like, a mess. And I think Beverly Hills is awful with their casting. So I like to see this show's in a good place.
Yeah. Yeah. We have to keep our Sonias and our Ramonas as much as they drive you nuts. Like you said, you don't necessarily need to add more. Just keep the right ones in there and give them the right circumstances, and it's going to be a great show.
Yeah. And you know what they're also doing right on the show is they're not trying to bring down the median age. We don't have to see all these young moms like the other shows try to do. And they did that with Jules, and they've done that in the past with other housewives on the show, and they never worked out. So stick with what you know.
Exactly.
Well, speaking about what you know, tell me about your show. I want to know more about it. I know you're a true TV lover. You're brutally honest, of course. And reality TV podcast, reality TV recaps. What can you tell us about, if someone listening is interested, what can they expect?
Well, I recap really all the shows that you love to watch that you're probably embarrassed to tell people that you watch. Season to season, it just kind of depends what I recap. Right now, I'm recapping Love After Lockup. I always recap 90 Day Fiancé, Sister Wives, Seeking Sister Wives. And I'm like that little voice in your head that's saying all the things that you want to say, but you have too good of manners to say aloud. I'll take that job from you. So that is a RealiTV podcast on your favorite podcast app. And I also have Moms on the Rocks. We are Not Your Mom's Podcast. You can check us out. And thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, yeah. No, my pleasure. No, this is great. I mean, I love listening to your show because when you go through these recaps, I was actually listening to the Sister Wives one. I don't follow the show, but the way you painted these people, I kind of had like, it was like an audio book, the way you were describing what was going on and just very clearly organized thoughts, but also I was having like visions for what these people looked like in my head. And I was going, this one and that one. It really was like listening to an audiobook. I'm sitting in traffic on Friday and just like dying to get home and then just listen to your show, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's not necessarily an aspirational thing. It's snarky recaps. So if you like laughing at people, then give it a listen.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like that you cover shows that are not like on everyone's lips. Like I talk a lot about the Housewives, and it's like you're covering like what is one of these Seeking Sister Wife and these shows.
Right.
Do you feel like that you have an advantage talking about shows that aren't kind of like overly exposed?
Yeah, I love Bravo shows. I watch all of them. I started my podcast because when 90 Day Fiancé came out, I am a podcast follower. I followed you from when you were on AfterBuzz, and I've been listening to it for years, and no one was doing 90 Day Fiancé, and that's why I started the podcast a little over a year ago, and now that's one of the biggest shows. Everyone's recapping it. So I do try to find those shows that we're all watching, but no one's really talking about too much. They don't have the big backings of a Bravo and things like that. So TLC really has got some hidden gems in there. RealiTV as well.
TLC, yeah, and I don't know why they don't really have more of a digital footprint. I mean, that is untapped, totally untapped content. Yeah.
Yeah, the only one I can't go and watch on that one is Dr. Pimple Popper. You can't pay me enough money. I cannot do it. That one I can't do.
No, I'm not interested either. And I can't imagine that being playing on a podcast.
No, I'm not recapping that.
Yeah, no. So I'm going to call you a reality TV expert. I mean, you know your stuff.
Boy.
From your perspective, what is the one can't miss reality television show right now?
On TV right now, Love After Lockup. If you are not watching it, you can jump right in. You do not need to go back and watch from the first season or the first episode. You will not regret watching it.
I watched a little bit of that way back when. I mean, there were a lot of stray kids involved and things. It was kind of sad. Yeah.
It is, but the people on there, they're real people. These are not people that they, cast to find a love that's locked up behind bars. It's people who found their boyfriends, girlfriends, husbands, and wives while they were in prison and follows them once they're released. So it definitely has some cringeworthy moments that you can't miss.
Well, we'll have to keep up with that and other things on your podcast. So thank you for doing the rants. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much. This was great. I loved this. And thank you guys for listening. Please, recommend this show to other people. I know a lot of people already have, and so many people have been gracious and given me great ratings and reviews wherever you find the show, and I so appreciate that. But I want to expand and get more people to listen. So I hope that you kind of enjoy the new truncated version, and will tell a friend about Grant's Rants. My thanks to Jodie Hough, and we'll be back with more rants as always. I love you for listening. Thanks again, Jodie.
Thank you.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the rant on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by RHONY. Voiceover by Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.